Hello, Mary Me. I had a problem with a troll on one of my videos here the other day. However, unlike most trolls, this one was actually useful because she gave me an idea for a video. And this video is gonna be about learning magic from a teacher, whereas learning it from a book. Because we have a little bit of a problem in our occult community, and that is that there gets to be more and more and more of us. It's The occult is growing in popularity exponentially, and as such, there are more people who want to learn than there are teachers willing to teach. So, for a lot of people, learning from books is the only option. But there are also a lot of very traditional occultists who are very snobbish on this point. Who sit and say, "Oh no, you can never learn anything from books." Yada yada yada. So, what's the truth of this? Of course, again, like always, I only speak from my experience and from my point of view, so I'm not claiming to have the only truth here. But in my experience, it's always best to learn from a teacher because whatever or not that is an actual teacher, or you are learning from a coven, or you're in some other ways, you're part of a study group. Basically, you're learning from real life people because then you can ask questions, you can have a dialogue back and forth. There's a lot of things that you can do with real people that you cannot do from a book or learning from somebody on YouTube or reading things online or in other ways teaching yourself in such a way. However, that doesn't mean that you can't learn from books. I have experience both in learning from books and from teachers. My mother started teaching me how to manipulate energy when I was a little girl, and I have also had 8 years of training under a teacher who taught me Haitian folk magic, shamanism, American style shamanism, and Crowley style ritual magic, Telema, and also a bit of witchcraft in there. He's pretty eclectic. In addition to this, I have had a year of instruction from a teacher from India who taught me about Indian style sex magic. So yeah, I have been fortunate enough to be able to study under teachers. I have also gone to classes and such things. But a lot of the things I've learned, I have picked up from books. And now my dear troll presented that because she made it's the typical thing when occultists fight. Yada yada yada, you're not good enough, yada yada yada, you don't have enough of an education, yada yada yada. I'm so much more scholarly than you are. Yeah, and of course she attacks the fact that, well, I do study quite a bit from books. But here's the thing. She points out that, but you can't find um, books cannot illustrate life. And this is true. Books can only give you information. But what you can do is take that information and practice with it. If you remain an armchair wizard, as in you only read and never practice, of course then you will not have a practical knowledge of magic. But you can take what you find in books and use that to gain a practical experience. It's the same as with cookbooks. If all you do is read the cookbooks, you will never really learn. You'll only have a theoretical knowledge. But if you sit down and actually then apply what you learn, then learning from books can be very, very useful. Now, we should also then mention about initiations and so on, which also was a topic we argued about. And this is also something that is a bit of a controversial topic within the occult community. whatever or not, you need initiation to study certain practices. I would say that it depends. In and of itself, no, you can learn things without an initiation. There's also a lot of areas where it's very difficult to learn something without having it presented in that way because, um, for example, when the Golden Dawn was still a secret society, the various members there, when they wrote books, they always put mistakes into the books so that those that were not initiated within the Golden Dawn system wouldn't get the full information of it. And if you look at, for example, those old grimoires, there's a lot of them. If you look at various occult stores, you can find them all over the place. And very often they're very difficult to work because they are based around students already knowing the basics and as such being initiated. Now, in an initiation passes over it passes over information, and it also uh, has a spiritual effect on you. However, these spiritual effects are very similar. If you look at various forms of occult systems, you'll find, usually at least, find a red thread. If you have been working quite a few of these systems, it is not that difficult to pick up a new system and work it without going a traditional route. Look at it a little bit like with instruments. If you know how to play the violin and know how to play a few instruments, picking up a new instrument and learning how to play it are usually easier than learning your first one, because there are some similarities here. And basically, I believe that the various forms of spiritual practices are different ways to look at the same thing. However, definitely, an initiation can be a very deep experience, and I feel that very often to claim membership in a path, you will need these initiations. That doesn't necessarily mean that you will need it to practice. And that brings me to something that many often discuss when it comes to, for example, Wicca. Can you practice Wicca without being initiated? Well, it depends on the path you're choosing. You cannot be a Garabian Wiccan unless you have been initiated into it by somebody who is in an initiatory line from Gardner himself. However, that doesn't mean that you cannot pick up the information that are publicly available and use that as a solitary practitioner. So, generally speaking, are self-studies and studies with books without a formal teacher as valuable as studying under a teacher? No, I will go as far as saying no, it's not. But that I would say would be for any field. You can study something on your own, read about it, go out and study it, and so on, but it will be harder, it will be more difficult than if you have a teacher to direct you. The same as with those paths that requires initiation. I have a few initiations from various areas, and it does create connection with that, which you will have then to work very, very hard to produce yourself. But yes, I will say that you can definitely learn magic from books, but you will have to work a lot harder than if you are going to do it with a teacher. And I think that if I hadn't had my teacher, I would probably not be as far along as I am. As for some books to recommend, it all of course depends on what path you're looking for. Um, if you're looking for a neo-pagan path, I would say the works of Garrett Gardner are a good place to start with. Raymond Buckland, is it Buckland or Buckland? Anyway, Ray Buckland's books are very, very good. Vivian Crowley's books are excellent. Um, and Scott Cunningham's books are also amazing. Those will give you a very good grip on Wicca style neo-paganism. Now, if you're going to go for more ritual magic, I would say the works of Aleister Crowley. They're not the easiest to start with, but he is far easier to understand than people like, for example, Eliphas Levi. Um, the works of um, the works of Israel Regardie, which was a student of Crowley. I would definitely look into that. The one book I would perhaps recommend people start with is Modern Magick by Don Craig. It's amazing and it really tells you how Western style ritual magic are done. And it's a very good starting point. Like I said, Eliphas Levi is somebody many recommend. I'm a little bit skeptical because it's very, very difficult to understand. But if you go through these, first starting with Craig, working your way to Crowley, then Israel Regardie, then you can begin with Eliphas Levi, then you have a very good start there. Now, of course, there's a lot of other paths within the occult, and each path will have its own works. And these are the paths that I am most familiar with. So, yeah, when it comes to another path that I've been working quite a bit with, it's Dutch style and folk magic. And I would say that actually there a book by Sylvan Rainwolf is very good. It has been changing names a bit. It's her book about Pennsylvania Dutch folk magic. Is the one I have is named American Folk Magic, but like I said, it has gone under several titles. But if you search for that, you should find it. It is very good for that system. Normally, I would be a little bit skeptical about Silver Rainbow for beginners. I do like her books, however, she does also have quite a few Fallen scenes, and you need to be you need to be experienced enough to know what's bullshit and what's not to read her. But her American Folk Magic book, I can't find a lot of mistakes. I think that is one I can fairly confidently recommend. Now, as for books about more historical systems, like for example Old Norse, Celtic, when it comes into Druidry, or ancient Egyptian, and so on and so forth, I would be a bit careful because there's so many people who, when it doesn't really have a historical connection, it's just their own system with a bit of an Egyptian touch, so to speak. And as such, many of those books are good. But, for example, the books by Connolly. But, I mean, she writes about the Celtic systems and such. But, all in all, I would be very skeptical about those systems if what you're looking for is something authentic. If you're looking for something authentic when it comes to Egyptian, I would start with the various coffin texts and work my way from there. When it comes to Norse, I would start with some of the Old Norse writings, because by familiarizing yourself with that, for example, the Old Edda and the King Sagas, you will learn to recognize what is authentically Old Norse, which will help you more easily separate out what is real and what is bullshit when you go to various forms of books on Old Norse Magic lately. So that's just a few advice for books that you might want to go with. Please let me know if you want me to make a video about basically a recommended book list. But yeah. Yeah, and for Chaos Magic, of course, Peter Carroll is the one to go with. So yeah, to finish off this topic, I definitely think you can learn a lot from books. But like always, if you're going to study from books, you have to also put it into practice. Magic is a living, breathing thing. You can read about it all you want, but if you want to be a mage, you have to practice it. But like I said, if you can get a teacher, jump at the chance because nothing really can compare to that. But if you want to learn magic and books are your only chance, books, YouTube videos, articles online, and so on and so forth, then by all means don't be discouraged. You can definitely learn from that. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day and blessed be.